the 6 types of metrics that you need to track to grow your online business. Now, I'm not going to get into all the acronyms for each of these 6 types because it's going to take about an hour for me to explain properly. But what I am going to do is I'm going to explain the types and I'll keep it general for you because most people, their understanding of metrics are traffic and how much money they make off of that traffic, right? And there's a whole lot more that goes into it. And you need to know your metrics because if you don't know your metrics and if you can't get granular in your business, you do not know what energy and effort is giving you the desired result, or you don't know what's not being done is giving you the desired result you want. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. Traffic metrics. All right, we want to understand our reach. We're going to track click performance, measure traffic costs, and analyze traffic sources. When I first got into business, in general, I had a brick and mortar business, my first business, but as I got into business, I was leaning a lot on how I felt, my intuition, my instinct, my gut feeling, right? And what I noticed was that I was throwing a lot of good money away with the bad because I did not understand, for example, click performance. I didn't understand how much traffic actually costs. I thought that, hey, I'm spending $300 on this platform. I'm spending $500 on this platform. I'm spending $1,000 on this platform. I'm going to get X result. Well, that's an assumption not based in fact, right? It's not based in the metrics, right? So we're going to use our traffic metrics to then understand how much things cost. All right. Next thing is analyzing traffic sources. This is something I've had to continue to manage. As much work as I do personally in being multi-platform person, right? Being on Instagram, being on TikTok, having email, so on and so forth. Pareto's principle still applies to all of us. We get 80, there's an 80-20 principle for everybody. 90% of my traffic comes from one traffic source. There's another source platform for me that only get 3% of my historic sales have come from one platform. Now, I put tons of effort and thousands of dollars into making that platform produce for me, right? But because I'm trying to fight against Pareto's principles, I'm also trying to fight against my own historic performance. I was splitting up my time half and half. But then when I realized, hey, 90% of my money comes from one platform, 3% comes from the other. By analyzing my traffic sources, I understand, hey, that 3% is not worth that amount of effort. Do the bare minimum because you're getting bare minimum over there anyway as far as profit, and leave it alone for right now. Okay. Now, next one is lead generation metrics, measuring how well traffic turns into leads. Such tracking opt-ins and conversions, measuring costs to generate leads, evaluate lead quality, monitor appointments and show-ups. So let's go ahead and break that down. So tracking opt-ins and conversions. So opt-in is going to be something like a lead magnet. That's something that we do that we give away for free, right? Now, out of all those people, let's say for this example, 100 people opt in to whatever that offer is, whether that free thing is, a free video, a free webinar, get on the email list so you give them a free PDF to download, whatever that is. Now, let's say 100 people opt in and 3 people convert into paying customers, right? That's a 3% conversion rate, all right? Now, we want to know we want to measure cost to generate leads. This is kind of what we're talking about, measuring traffic costs on traffic metrics. Same thing in regards to our lead generation metrics, right? So traffic also, by the way, just so you know, traffic is not a lead, okay? Now, we want to evaluate lead quality we can determine lead quality by seeing, hey, out of those opt-ins, how many converted? Out of that traffic, out of those leads, when we contacted them, were these people that were purchasing? Were they just checking it out? Were they just talking trash about us, giving us bad ratings? Whatever that is, but we need to use our metrics to evaluate lead quality. Last but not least is monitor appointments and show-ups. For those of y'all who might be selling a service or high ticket offer, we need to know that because by monitoring appointments and show-ups, for example, a show-up is a metric. So again, let's use the opt-in metric. So let's say 100 people opted in or 100 people signed up for a call with you. Out of all those calls, only one person converted and purchased from you. All right, so you have a 1% show up rate. So it cost you, let's say it costs you $500 to get 100 people to opt in, or 100 people to schedule a call with you, because that's how much you spend on traffic. And out of that $500, one person became a client. Okay. Now, what we want to know is, in that lead generation metric, well, okay, well, what was the profit on that lead? My hope is that you're selling something for more than $500, because if you're selling for under $500, you're in the red. All right. Now, I keep going with that, but for the sake of brevity, we're going to keep this a bit short. Okay. Next, sales metrics. Measure how effectively you convert leads into sales. We'll be tracking sales conversions, monitoring revenue and order value, analyze purchase behavior, understand revenue per visitor. I think y'all are starting to turn the corner on how we track these things, right? So analyzing traffic sources, monitoring appointments and show-ups, and then understanding revenue per visitor. All right, so in that example I just said, where I was saying that, hey, it costs you $500 to get somebody to show up. Okay, well, my hope is that you have that, you're selling something that's more than $500. That's where our sales metrics comes in at, right? Tracking our sales conversions, monitoring revenue on order value, right? We need to know things like average order value, lifetime value of a customer, so on and so forth. Because if we know these numbers on the sales metric side, it changes what we do on the traffic and lead generation metric side of things. Okay. Again, it's so much to talk about on these metrics, y'all. But the main thing is, it's not just traffic and it's not just sales. There's 6 types of metrics, and we need to understand all of them in a deep way, right? And by doing that, we can stand on our own 2 feet in regards to running our own online business, right? So profitability metrics. Measure whether your business is truly profitable. All right, we got to track acquisition costs. How much does it cost to get a customer? Measure customer lifetime value. All right. Analyze margins and profit. And then last but not least, evaluate return on investment. All right. ROI. Like I talked about, average order value, AOV, lifetime value, LTV. All right. Track acquisition costs, customer acquisition costs, CAC, CAC. All right. I'm not trying to inundate y'all with acronyms. Just understand that there's an acronym for everything that we're talking about here today. All right. And this is not something you're going to just learn in one day. This is something you're going to learn and apply through however long you have an online business. And hopefully, if you're doing well with it, you could have it for a long time. All right. Email metrics. One thing most people don't know about email is the first social media platform. Everybody interacted with one another via the internet. I mean, on the internet via social media, right? So in all these metrics, email is a part of it. We're going to sell via email in the online space, all right? Because that is an audience that has much less competition than the thousands of people that your average customer is going to be following, right? You got to compete with LeBron James and OnlyFans models, right? Like when you're marketing via social media exclusively, but when we are in the email, the inbox is much less competitive, right? So that's a great place to be able to measure performance. So you want to track engagement with the emails, right? You want to measure clicks and interactions, monitor list health, measure email-driven revenue, okay? I didn't know how good I was doing on email until one day I just pulled it up and I had made $100,000 selling email, selling via email. I just knew I needed to send an email out every day, but I didn't know all of my metrics, right? As much as I knew about that 90, like I told you earlier in this example, I had a 90% return rate. I had a 90% of my sales came from one place, but I had some sales coming from another place as well. And one of those places was email, right? We need to measure email-driven revenue. This helps us understand where our audience lives. Where does our target audience live? What are their what are the habits and the buying habits they have? What is the buying psychology of that? We're going to see that through traffic metrics, lead generation metrics, sell metrics, profitability metrics, and email metrics as well. All right. And last but not least, customer metrics. All right. Track retention and repeat purchases. Okay. We're going to be measuring customer loyalty and long-term value, measure customer satisfaction, monitor churn and loyalty, understand customer lifetime. So I'll be kind of bleeding over, if from one metric to the next, as y'all can see, but like we want to know how our customer goes through our sales funnel. All right. We want to know what they do, how they do it, so we can begin to make things easy for them to buy for us and attract more people like them. All right. But we have to run our online business via metrics. We cannot do it off of gut feelings and things you see as you scroll. When you bookmark something, say, hey, I'm gonna try that. Hold on. Their business could be completely different from you. Their target audience may be different from you. Their phone may be different from you. Their offer may be different from you, right? So we want to verify with our metrics before we start making changes. We want to track things with our metrics before we start making changes. Okay. These are the 6 types of metrics. Let me make this big as possible so y'all can come in and screenshot this and just get a general idea of what it is. All right. You need to have, if you want to run an online business, you need to have a general idea of how these things work. All right. I teach this in my mentorship and I go in depth. We talk about all the acronyms, so on and so forth. All right. I try not to make it boring. I don't think it's boring at all. I think it's all very interesting stuff. All right. So, guys, y'all any questions? Feel free to shoot me a DM. I'd love to talk to you.